In this video, I want to talk about how to solve a linear equation, in this case, -1 equals 2x plus 3 in a few different ways. Algebraically, with a table, and graphically. Now, traditionally, algebraically would be the way we would go, and it is the easiest way to solve something like this. The reason I want to show with a table and graphically is just to tie some ideas together, ideas involving an equation with two variables and the graph of that linear function. All right, so let's go through algebraically first, since that's sort of the easiest way and probably the most familiar way. So if I have an equation like -1 equals 2x plus 3, to solve this algebraically, I'm just going to isolate x first by subtracting 3 from both sides, and then by dividing each side by 2. And we learn that -2 equals x. So that is our solution. All right, now if I want to think about if I had a table of values, how could I solve this equation? So with the table of values, what we're really going to look at is we're going to look at the equation y equals 2x plus 3. All right, so this is a linear equation, and we could make a table of values for this linear equation, and then we could use this table to graph, and we're going to look at that graph here in a second. So let's say I pick x to be 2. And so if I plug 2 into this equation, I get 2 times 2 plus 3, which is 7. All right, let's say I pick 1, so I get 2 times 1 plus 3, which is 5. And we see that y value going down by 2, which we kind of expect because the slope is 2. And we're decreasing x by 1. -1, so 2 times -1 is -2, plus 3 is 1. -2, 2 times -2 is -4, plus 3 is -1. Now notice, in the y spot is -1. So we're trying to find the x value that gives us an output of -1. And there it is right there. And so from the table, I can tell that the x value that makes this true is -1. All right, now let's say we go and graph this. So if we were going to graph this, we would think of this table of values as a set of ordered pairs. All right, so we know that these points are on our line, and we would expect these points to all be in a straight line because this is a linear equation in the form y equals mx plus b. All right, let's take a look at that graph. All right, so here we have our table of values. We have our equation y equals 2x plus 3, and this is the graph of the line y equals 2x plus 3. Now we want to know when 2x plus 3 equals -1. So when the y value equals -1, which we've already determined is -2. But let's say we didn't have this table, all right? We just had this line, and I want to know when this thing equals -1. So what I can do is I can make a separate line, y equals -1, and I'm trying to find the point on this line that has a y coordinate of -1, and that value is -2. All right, so x equals -2. So we saw 3 different ways that we can solve an equation like this. Algebraically, look at a table of values, and then graph and see where the y value equals -1. So the thing to remember is when you are doing the table of values or graphically, you need to put y in for what you're trying to get this equal to, all right, and graph that equation in 2 variables.